usual day for some Caravan renos. Today we're going to start on all the suspension components, the axles, stub axles, and leaf springs. So leaf springs hunted high and low, and these are definitely non-standard. So I can't buy any off the shelf, unfortunately. And I could get some specially made, but that would cost moonbeams. So I've had a really good look at them. The steel's actually still the same thickness. There's not really a lot of pitting in it, which is good. So I'm going to pull them apart, clean them all up, repack them, and use them again. They'll be fine for that. If I had any doubts, I'd definitely get some new ones remade. So unfortunately, more stripping, more wire brushing. But that's today's events. Here's a nice, easy, practical little tip. If you want to clean out holes, get yourself an old bolt, long bolt, chop the end off, cut a slot in it, and then you can wrap some sandpaper in there. Great little tool for cleaning out holes. Let's do it. Leaf springs are out. They're being rust treated at the moment, so whilst that's doing its thing, it takes a couple of hours, I'm going to set up to start putting the floor beams back in. These old chassis are never quite straight. The back rail is a little bit bent, so I'm going to allow for that. I'm going to go a little old-fashioned, put up a string line around the perimeter, and then we'll be able to get our boards in dead flat, and they'll make sure that our floor inside is flat, so when I put a furniture in, everything lines up beautifully. Piece of wood we just cut on the bandsaw was in a slight taper, so now what we want to do is just dress it up, get it nice and straight and square so everything sits well. So what we'll do, for those who don't know what it is, we're going to put it across a 6-inch planer. So the whole purpose of this machine is basically to get wood flat and straight and square. All the timber going in under the floor is treated to H3.2, saves it rotting out and saves the borer getting to it like the last lot. The other thing is all the bolts that I'm going to use are all galv. Same deal, all the old ones are rusted out. This will stop that happening, or at least slow it down substantially. As you can probably hear, it's a little worse for the weather outside, so tonight we'll work inside, put the suspension together. So reassembling the leaf springs after they've all been painted. One thing that's good to do is put a little bit of grease on the slide surfaces. It makes it really nice and smooth and helps it slide. What you will notice I've got some packets of bolts here, put down the Steel Masters today. They're nice and handy for me. All my suspension bolts, cap screws are all high tensile. So these are all 10.9, sort of starts at like 4.6, which is really low grade, common grade. 8.8 is high tensile, 10.9 is getting really strong, and it does go up to 15.9, I believe it is. So these are a good high tensile bolt, great for suspension work. Going to set up our leaf spring bolts, once again high tensile bolts. So normally these got to have a grease groove or grease gallery in them. So I've gone and bought a couple of little grease nibbles. So we'll drill a hole through the center and then a matching hole through the side so that we can pump the grease in. Great for maintenance. Should definitely do this with all your leaf spring bolts. Just like that, we've got a couple of bolts with some grease galleries in it. We'll give it a quick blowout, make sure there's no metal filings in, and then we can put our little grease nibble on the end. Job done. As technology has moved on a fair bit from the 50s, I'm going to add a few little things to the suspension of this Caravan. One being the top of the leaf spring at the moment is just rubbing steel on steel, which isn't great. So what I'll be doing is I'll be adding this product, it's called ACM Composite. It's a high load wear material, self-lubricating, really good for impact as well from a leaf spring. But what it will do is allow the leaf spring to slide back and forth over this quite nicely. It won't wear it out. It'll create a smoother ride. The spring will work better. All over, more pleasant experience. So there we have it. It's chopped out. It's got a rough surface on the inside, which is absolutely perfect for putting epoxy to. It means it'll really bite to it, so we're going to epoxy to the top of the slide channel, and basically we'll just slide back and forth, or the leaf spring will slide back and forth in it. Perfect bearing for this application. I've applied a very liberal coating of gel epoxy to the inside of the bearing. I'm going to slide those in place, and these will be great. They'll outlast me, no problem. Time to put another piece of the puzzle together. Tonight we'll put the axle in with the leaf springs, get everything prepped to clamp up. All of the epoxy's dry from last night, which is perfect. So yeah, let's get an axle in. So we're going to start assembling some of the parts. We'll put the jockey wheel on this morning. So made the plates last night, painted them, dried them in front of the fire, and we've added a few layers of protection basically to stop the paintwork getting knocked about, because that's what tends to cause rust spots. So we've made some little plastic sleeves, and also there's a heavy duty tape on here to stop the paint getting knocked and chipped. So let's assemble this thing. Time to assemble the rest of the suspension. So we're going to put the connecting bolts in, or connecting plates and bolts in for the axle and the leaf springs. So normally you'd use U-bolts, but because this thing's old, I hunted high and low but couldn't find any, so we're going to have to custom make, or I have custom made everything for this part. Once again, technology's moved on, so we're doing a few extras. So here's a plate for the clamping where the bolts will go through. I've also made a composite plate. What this does is it stops fretting. That's where parts slowly move against each other and they can cause wear, and then you wear through the paint and that makes it rust. So this avoids all of that. So it's a very, very high load product. This will take 37,000 PSI or 37,000 pounds per square inch. So plenty of room for error. Once again, so these are high tensile bolts going in here. They're not your Joe average bolts from Mod 10. You'll see stamped on them 10.9. That's the tensile strength. So it sort of starts on the 4s for your general construction stuff and moves up. And so when you're getting into the suspension grade, wheel studs, things like that, you're up in the 10s and the 12s. The highest you can get is 15s for super strong bolts. So go to a bolt specialist if you're doing anything suspension related, or ask a specialist.